Hello everybody, I'm Gwen Campbell-Mindes. Welcome to Gwen's Bookish Ramblings, and today we are talking about Dave Barry's Gift Guide to End All Gift Guides, which is a book of, well, it's a book that I think bears a strong resemblance to his Book of Bad Songs, in that this, I'm not sure I've ever found whichever column it is that was probably the starting point for this, but this is a book like his Book of Bad Songs that gets its starting point from the alert readers sending things in shtick. He has several columns, and as I said, the Book of Bad Songs is another one of them, where he has basically asked his readers to send him suggestions and to send him, votes and things. In the Book of Bad Songs, it was, what is the song that you hate most? And whichever song won would be the winner of the Bad Song Survey, after which he put together a book of all of the other interesting stuff that he found. In this case, this is a gift guide. That is a Dave Barry style gift guide. This is a gift guide that, as you can tell from this really genuinely horrendous photograph on the cover, let's be honest, this is a gift guide of the kinds of novelty items that you find in those weird stores in the mall that have, like, weird novelty stuff in them. The kinds of things that you find buried in the depths of the internet, things that you get from specialty stores that are, in fact, supposed to be selling things to, like, dental professionals or people who are doing education and agriculture, all kinds of stuff like that. I have some suggestions here, including some specific, selections, several of which I picked because people like animal pictures, and so that those are just there because dogs are cute, I guess. If there had been cats, it would have been cats, but there are no cats, so we're just going to have to deal with dogs. So this is one of the things in this book is that it is things you can actually buy. Because there are some things that, they exist in the world, but you can't actually buy them. In this particular book, I particularly like these pants, which he has declared hideous Republican pants, because he says that these are the kinds of pants that you see in country clubs frequented by wealthy Republicans. But the interesting thing about these is that these were sent in by an alert reader seeking to get them out of the reach of her husband who actually wore them. Which, of course, does make me wonder, did she send them to him unasked with the, request that he should probably get a column out of these? Or did she actually send them to him in response to a request for suggestions about gifts to get people for this book that he was making or wound up making? Because if he had got these entirely, unasked for, without having actually asked for these things, that she had just sent them in, that in itself would be very interesting. But then again, you see this all the time on YouTube. People who are YouTubers who get sent piles of stuff that people send them that they think these YouTubers might appreciate. So, I mean, it's an interesting thing. Of course, what these pants really are reminiscent of is a Don Cherry jacket. And if you are among the people who do not know who Don Cherry is, spelled D-O-N space cherry, like the fruit, you should probably look up Don Cherry and jackets. He has since been fired by the CBC, but he was an institution for many years here in Canada, so you should probably look him up if you want to be entertained by jackets. This is one of the dog pictures because, I'll be honest, putting antlers on people's pets is a tradition of long standing. People like doing it. And some dogs don't notice, and some dogs look really, really sad at you, and some dogs look angry, but most of them just look sad or confused. But the thing is, people like animal pictures. I haven't yet decided which animal picture is going to be my thumbnail, but I'm going to have an animal picture for a thumbnail because why shouldn't I break my tradition of doing covers and instead have an animal picture? Because people like fuzzy animals. Anyways, so there is, of course, a suggestion that you get your dog fuzzy antlers for Christmas because photographs of dog with fuzzy antlers. This one was particularly intriguing. This is Officer Culp, the idea of which was that you should get a cardboard cutout of a security officer and then wave him vaguely at people and he will fend off, criminals who are threatening you, as you can see in the two photographs to the right, which I assume are supposed to be some sort of a particular demonstration of how this works. That is, a woman being assaulted by two men who are trying to steal her purse manages to whip out from somewhere a cardboard cutout of a cop, which will magically make them back off. Who knows? It's an interesting suggestion. I do sometimes wonder, looking at these collections, what are the ones that didn't make it in, especially considering that sometimes Dave Barry gets things like during his request for suggestions for a national insect that somebody sent them a dead bug that they had named Hector, and it actually mailed it to the Miami Herald, which was really, really interesting. And the fact that he cherry-picked that really does make you wonder what else came in the mail. Then there's the giant fiberglass goose, which is supposed to be something for hunters, that you hide in the giant fiberglass goose, and the fiberglass goose will then somehow convince other Canada geese that it's totally safe to land. The most interesting observation about this, of course, was that their quote-unquote research team out with the Canada goose apparently were approached by many attractive women who were fascinated by the goose and decided to, approach them and ask questions and stuff. Which, let's be honest, that makes sense, because if I saw a grown man hanging around a giant fiberglass goose, I too would probably be intrigued. There are, of course, other hunting-related ones, such as the idea that you could get the ashes of somebody in your life who has died, and they will load the ashes into a shotgun shell and take the shell on a hunting trip, allowing you to shoot an animal one last time with your own ashes, which is... I'm not entirely certain that there is anybody in my acquaintance who would want such a thing, but there are a lot of interesting people in the world, so... And let's be honest, that's a relatively harmless notion, I guess. So, more dog pictures. This is for a dog sweatsuit, which, I have to say, over recent years, as, dog outfits have become more and more prevalent, this dog sweatsuit is actually, let's be honest, in quite good taste in comparison to some of the things you see for dogs. It looks like it might actually be comfortable for the dog in question, and so, it's less silly than it seemed back in the 90s. But it may just be that it's less silly than it seemed back in the 90s because we have become so adjusted to the notion of making our dogs dress up in cute outfits that we've maybe lost the plot in the same way that we have for bottled water. Because those of us who live in cities with actually safe bottled water, actually safe tap water, it seems kind of ridiculous, genuinely, to have, all of those plastic bottles of water that you buy from a store. Because, really, it's water. And then there is this, which is a life vest for a dog, in case your dog has trouble swimming, that you can put a life vest on your dog, and your dog will wear a life vest and look adorable and stand on your diving board and look up at your camera with big soulful doggy eyes, because he's probably very uncomfortable sitting out there. I'm thinking this will probably be my thumbnail picture, but hey, we'll all find out when we get to that point. And the final picture that I have culled is another dog that is the portable dog carrying thing that you can just effectively put a handle on your tiny dog and haul him or her everywhere, because I think this was really before purse dogs really proliferated. And, that's a dog that's just, because, Scotties are a little bit too big to be purse dogs. But anyways, so, this is a book that's full of those kinds of suggestions. What's the big thing in this is that this is just the kinds of wry observations that you make when looking at these. This is a book that also falls under the category of things that we used to make books of that now people just make websites for. Because there are a lot of things out there that, some of my books that are collections of photographs of churches in rural Ontario, churches in rural Canada, this sort of thing, these books that are just random collections of stuff that somebody decided to take pictures of, these are books that are in their way are a dying breed of book, because people just make a website now. And it's kind of a pity, because Wayback Machine or no, there is a permanency to a book that is not present on the internet. I mean, sure, you post something on the internet and it's there forever, but that has to do with things that will publicly embarrass you. It's one of the things that I wait for with some dread, which is, as more and more people publish more and more things electronically, that when somebody sells you an electronic book, when they sell you an ebook, they're not selling you a book that you can own forever. If they decide to retract the rights, because that's what DRM does, you don't have that book anymore. And so there's a lot of stuff out there like this that's going to sort of vanish. It's going to kind of fade away unexpectedly. And I regret the loss of these weird books. Now, a Dave Barry, somebody who has the kind of readership that Dave Barry had, that's not going to go away quickly. But with the kind of shattered viewership, the kind of shattered loss of collectivity that we have, because with all of the connectivity of the internet, one of the things that we have lost is having a united culture. We have, people talk about major events in television, but the thing is, the reason why the final episode of MASH was so much more significant an event than the final episodes of Breaking Bad or the final episode of Game of Thrones is because when MASH came out, there were like 10 channels. There was no internet, and there were 10 TV channels. If you were in a city. And that kind of thing, this is something that is going to have a similar effect with books and with television and so on, is we have this scattering and this loss of mass culture that's happening. And I don't know whether we're going to recover that anytime soon, that having something that actually brings us all together, at the very least culturally. But I've kind of wandered off topic, which is, the point of what I do here. So I think I'm just going to leave you all after my philosophical ruminations, and I will not be doing my mom's favorite book next week, but I will see you all then.